Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Elombah Television tonight. Our discussion tonight is IPOB and ESN and insecurity and the state of security in the southeast region of Nigeria. Our guests tonight are Dr. Mefor and Mr. Marcel Ngogbehei. Dr. Mefor is already here with us. So, Dr. Mefor, we welcome you to the program. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Oh, sorry. I just noticed I'm muted. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for hosting me. Good evening, everyone.
We thank you very much. Dr. Mefor, I've heard you speak severally. You are on BBC two or 3 days ago. I was listening to your discussion about the state of security, IPOB, ESN, and other things in the southeast region. My first question to you will be direct. Do you think that the existence of IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, an organization that is headed by Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and ESN, Eastern Security Network, do you think they are contributing to the state of security in the southeast, or are they jeopardizing it? Direct question.
Well, I would want to deal with the question in this manner. First and foremost, I want to look at IPOB. Its desirability. I think that IPOB is a child of necessity. I think so far it has actually done a bit of a job in mobilizing what you may call pan-Igbo nationalism, pan-Igbo consciousness, bringing to the fore the plight of Ndi Igbo in what so many have chosen to call contraption, the Nigerian nation state, the plight of Ndi Igbo. I think that since the Civil War, no organization has been able to really bring to the fore, to national consciousness, to international attention, the plight of Ndi Igbo in Nigeria. To that extent, I think that IPOB should be commended for doing a good job. I may not agree with their method, and I think it's also the problem many people have with them. I have had an opportunity of meeting Nnamdi Kanu one-on-one. Met him in Kuje once or twice. I met him in Umuahia once or twice. So I think I know him fairly well. And I think he's committed to this cause. I think he is doing the much he can, but I believe he can do better if he can change his method. Then we come to Eastern Security Network. That, to me, is also a child of necessity. Because if the Southeast governors did their job, living up to their constitutional billing as the chief security officers of their respective states, I sincerely believe that ESN may not have even a reason. If you really look at it, we have been facing existential threats in the Southeast. There is an invasion of the Southeast by very strange characters that we want to be made to believe to be headsmen. Fulani headsmen we have always known cannot be this kind of Fulani headsmen we see now. Most of these ones are not Nigerians. Their language is not Nigerian. They don't speak Hausa. They don't speak English. They don't speak nothing we can understand. The Yorubas have said the same thing. So it's not just a matter of Southeast experience. It is an invasion of Nigerian political space. Middle Belt is suffering it. South-South is suffering it. Southwest, then Southeast. Now, the Southwest came up with Amoteko And when they did, David Umahi assured Nigerians, assured Ndibo, that the Southeast would respond by forming the Eastern version of Amoteco. This is almost 2 years, and nothing happened. And sometime in January or February, the same David Umahi told us that the Southeast region does not need any centralized security operation. And that was contradictory. So you can see the lacuna that was created by the laxity of the handling of the security situation in the Southeast by the Southeast governors. That is exactly what Eastern Security Network feared. And for me, when they came on board, I wrote in favor, I wrote in welcome of the initiative. And I still believe that Eastern Security Network is only necessary. What I don't know is if Eastern Security Network is the same thing as unknown gunmen, and I don't want to believe it is.
Well, Dr. Law, at this point, I will ask, did you watch the emergency broadcast by Mazen Nnamdi Kanu on April 22nd?
No, I didn't.
Did you? But have you heard what he said during that broadcast?
He has said a lot of things. I don't know which you refer to now.
Okay, on April 22nd, I would not like to play it here because I've played it once in a program and it brought controversy.
Yes.
If you go to that broadcast, the first 12 pages was verbal attacks on Southeast governors,
okay,
and a call to attack any Southeast governor that his members meet. It was a direct command. He said that it is a command on every IPOB member to attack and kill Hope Uzodimma, Governor Obiano, and Dave Umahi. He mentioned them by name. The next, another broadcast he made on April 24th, following the killing of Ikonso, he said that by the killing of Ikonso, Imo State governor has murdered sleep, and it will rain hell and brimstone, or whatever he said. And as if on cue, the next day, we heard what happened in Ibariam since then. So, do you think, even though the question of unknown gunmen, we didn't know before, but since the killing of Ikonso, do you think, in your opinion, is there a doubt as to who is behind the unknown gunmen burning police stations, killing security officers in Igbo land?
You see, this issue is too weighty to be left to the realm of speculation. We need conclusive evidence. That
what type of evidence do you have if the DSS and the police have also already said that ESN is behind the crimes being committed by unknown gunmen in the Southeast? What type of evidence are you looking for?
They made that statement based on speculation. As far as I am concerned, I want to see the evidence that led to their conclusion.
Okay, what type of evidence? What type of evidence do you have in mind?
They should tell us what convinced them. They should be able to say, "Look, I am a forensic expert. Before I draw conclusions on any matter that must be predicated on evidence, I want to see hard facts. For example, you need to see witnesses. They ought to do investigations, make arrests, and do convincing interrogations that will really lead to conclusion that the people that are apprehended have direct link to those operations that led to the deaths. If you are just basing it on what Nnamdi Kanu said, I don't think he can stand even in court. You're a lawyer, the judge would want to see an evidence that the order of Nnamdi Kanu was carried out. And once I see such evidence, I will take a position on the matter. So far, I don't have evidence. The evidence must be convincing, it must be conclusive. Nnamdi Kanu's orders are not enough. There must be proof that the orders he gave were carried out and carried out in obedience to the orders. Otherwise, it becomes speculative and dangerous also. Because you and I know, yes, Yeah, it's very fundamental because supposing, let me give you a scenario here. Supposing that some enemies of Ndibo are utilizing the opportunity created by the tantrums of Nnamdi Kanu to perpetrate the evil and now make it appear to be the people loyal to Nnamdi Kanu, especially ESN, that are carrying out the orders. There is this possibility. As long as this possibility exists, we cannot draw any conclusion. Look, the DSS, the police, they haven't done their job. They have not. They must go all out there and do thorough investigations, do thorough arrests, do conclusive, interrogations. You need to find concrete evidence that will really convince even the enemies of Nnamdi Kanu that indeed they did this. But if you don't do that, and you're basing it essentially on speculation, I don't think it is fair. And let me tell you,
yes,
we have directorates of SSS in Anambra, Imo, and then in the 5 eastern states. So they're on ground. You have police commands, they're on ground. You have civil society, they are on ground. What the hell is their job? How come they've not been able to make arrests and carry out investigations? If they have carried out investigations, we want to see the facts they have. And if the facts are based on arrests they have made, and they are convinced that they have established prima facie cases against these people, charge them to court. That is what they must do. They don't just issue press statements. Police duty is not based on a press statement.
Thank you, Dr. Mefor. To do their job. Dr. Mefor, unfortunately, Marcel have not joined us up till now, so I'll still be asking you questions.
No problem. I don't have no problem with that at all.
All right. How would you describe the set of security in the Southeast now? Is it getting worse, or is it getting better?
It is certainly getting worse. There's no doubt about it. It's getting worse. And
why is it getting worse?
It's getting worse for some reasons. The political class in the Southeast, they are not cooperating with the Eastern Security Network, and they are not providing any alternative. They talked about setting up of Elombah. For me, it's still on paper. I've not seen anything to really show. So if you make a political statement that you have set up Elombah and there is nothing on ground, and you are antagonizing Eastern Security Network, you are only setting up the two groups for a showdown. Things can only get worse. There will be no peace in the Southeast unless we find a creative way of getting Eastern Security Network and Elombah to work together.
Okay,
if they don't work together, there will be no peace.
We will get to the solution later on. But right now, my question now will be: you seem to imply that the existence of ESN is a child of necessity and therefore necessary.
Yes, yes.
What danger are they meant to confront? What source of insecurity are they meant to confront?
Let me tell you, what the Southeast is facing now is an existential threat.
Why? What is the cause of that existential threat?
I will avert your mind to the factors on ground, which I expect Eastern Security Network to focus on, essentially. You see, our problem is not kidnappers. It's not armed robbers. It's not. Our problem remains the killer headsmen that are in our forests. That's the truth. That is where the problem is now. That is what I expect Eastern Security Network to focus on. Clear our forests of these foreign Fulanis. We don't know them. We don't know who they are. They are not Nigerians. They speak French, they speak Swahili, and other strange languages. They are from Mali. They are from the Maghreb, Timbuktu, Chad, Niger.
How would you know
They
that?
are not.
How would you know that?
See, we have encountered some of them before. If you speak Hausa, I understand a bit of Hausa. If you speak Hausa to them, they don't hear you. You speak English, they don't hear you. And if you listen to them talk, you can pick bits and pieces of French, showing that it did, because I did a bit of French. So I can't speak French, but I understand it. I can know that it's French you're speaking.
Dr. Mefor, have you ever encountered any of these so-called Fulani herdsmen, the killer Fulani herdsmen? Have you ever encountered them?
Listen, let me tell you, these people are not hidden. Do you understand that? They are not hidden. They are seen sometimes coming to, do things in the open. If you go to Enugu, if you go to Abakaliki, they stray out sometimes to buy things from the open.
Who are you talking about? Are you talking about Fulani herdsmen rearing their cattle?
The strange Fulanis. These strange Fulanis. They are strange because they don't speak Nigerian languages. That is the point I'm making. And let me tell you my worry, why I blame the indigenous Fulanis. I believe that these foreign Fulanis didn't just come into Nigeria like that. They were allowed to come in here by their kids and kin that are Nigerians.
To do what?
A lot of them serve as mercenaries. That's the truth. All these killings going on here and there, look at what has happened in the plateau. You think that what is happening in the plateau is essentially done by Fulanis that are indigenous to Nigeria? Most of them are imported mercenaries. That's the point I'm making. Most of these people are not part of us. They are not the Fulanis you and I grew up with. There are Fulanis that are born in Amansi in Oka. There are Fulanis that are born in Enugu. There are Fulanis that are born and bred in Umuahia. You have Amausa all over Igbo land. We know the people that have been with us. Many of them speak Igbo more than you and I, because they were born here, raised amongst us. These other people, we don't know them. They don't understand our culture. They don't know us, we don't know them. They can't live amongst us because they're not here for peace. That's the point I'm making. And if they are here because they were brought in to help their brothers on revenge missions, because they want to help their brothers war still to maybe fight for land, because what has happened in the plateau, if you listen to the leaders of the Middle Belt, some of the communities that were sacked by these Marudin Fulani headsmen are occupied by them in plateau. And if we allow, if we allow it, what happened in plateau will happen in the southeast. That is my worry. That is why I said that the job for ESN is cut out. Let them clear our forests. We need to know those who are with us. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Our forests are not free for occupation by stranded Fulanis all over Africa to come and settle in. We cannot allow it. We can't afford it. We can't survive it. That's the point I'm making. Because if you see what has happened in the plateau, if you allow that to happen in the southeast, it will be disastrous. And we are more than 50, 60 million people. Where do we go to if we are displaced from the southeast? So you see why I support the ESN. If they will focus on making sure that our forest is free of these people, I will support them to the bitter end.
Okay, I'll ask a question now that is controversial. We have, I don't know whether you were one of our guests when the issue was debated here. We even have some representatives from northern Nigeria. The reason I'm asking this question is that when they buy yesterday, if you don't know where if you don't know where the rain starts beating you, you wouldn't know when the rain stops.
Where you took shelter. Yes.
Exactly. Now, these Fulani herdsmen that you are talking about, let's assume that they are actually in the forest of eastern Nigeria. One, Has there been any investigation, either by the government or anyone, to find out what is making these Fulanis go down towards the southeast region?
Well, I think I have an idea why they are migrating and gravitating towards the southeast. You know, if my hypothesis, which is backed by certain facts on ground, is correct, the hypothesis that they are imported to fight a war, to defend their kith and kin, to join in the revenge missions where they believe that they have been that their members have been killed by farmers. They go back to revenge, and in doing so, they sack those communities and occupy the communities. It's enough incentive, as far as I am concerned. Like I said, do an investigation. I'll give you contacts of some middle belt leaders. If you don't have, but I believe you do, the communities that are sacked in the middle belt in Plateau, in southern Kaduna, many of those communities have been occupied by those who sacked them. That's the point I'm making. And the reason is already established. That is the reward that they are promised. I'm sure you are aware that the Fulanis had problem in Central African Republic, and they were displaced. Many of them are stranded, nomadic, all over Africa. I don't know if you listened to Bala Mohammed, the governor of Bauchi State, recently on Channels Television. He said that they have a project of resettling the Fulanis. He said it in the open. This is another reason. They want them to settle. Okay, if you want them to settle them amongst your people. Even settling them in Bauchi will still be wrong, but it's okay if they can live with it. But they want to use one stone to kill 2 or 3 birds. They believe that they can use them to extend their Fulanization and Islamization agenda. Many people may not believe it, but it's something being pursued by default. That's the truth. And if you see the experience of certain parts of Nigeria, like Zango Kataf, and so on and so forth, this was exactly how it all began.
Okay, I'll ask the same question I asked the different set of the people I interviewed yesterday on a similar subject. You have just mentioned Islamization and the Fulanization agenda. I wouldn't want us to deviate from our subject, but it will give us a groundwork for my next follow-up questions.
Correct.
Yeah, the fact that we have a Fulani as president, the fact that we have some Fulanis occupying strategic sectors of our economy, politics, and defense, is that enough justification to believe in this so-called Fulanization agenda? Or do you think it is just politicians using the fact of their ethnicity to advance their political interest? In other words, is it an example of using your ethnicity for political domination, or is it the use of Fulanization, your ethnicity, to advance or to conquer another people? In other words, Fulanization or forced conversion to your religion?
See, Dan, from the foundation of Nigeria, expansionism of the northern hegemony has always been there. That's a fact. It has always been there. Even before the advent of colonialism, the advance of the caliphate towards the sea has always been there. It's something that even started before colonialism.
All right, but in our modern day, in the modern day, in the modern Nigeria, what? Yes,
coming.
Yeah,
I'm coming, please. Just wait a minute. I just want to give you a background to something. You see, the fact that you have 13 national security positions and 11 of them are occupied by the same ethnic stock.
I don't think so. I don't think I don't think this I don't think this assertion is correct.
Well, if you know the 13 positions I'm talking about, then you'll be able to know if you contradict what I'm saying.
All right, can we? I'm not putting you on the spot, but can you give us an idea of the security positions you mean? If I'm not trying to force you to name them, but if you can't, we go ahead. But can you give us?
See, I will just mention the only two that are of certain extraction. Listen, no, we can resolve it. We can resolve it, right? Don't restrict this to just the Fulanis. We are talking about Fulanization and Islamization. They go together.
So you want to separate the two? Let us because not all Fulanis are Muslims anyway. Some Fulanis are Christians.
I'm not separating the two. I'm not separating the two. I'm not separating the North from Fulanization and from Islamization. That's my position. And if you have 13 security positions and 11 of them are occupied by Muslims, I have a problem with it. If 11 of them are occupied by northern Nigeria, I have a problem with it. If 11 of them, are occupied by people who speak Hausa language and Hausa alone, and they can go to security meetings and speak Hausa and cut off the other two from southern Nigeria, I have a problem with it. That's the point I'm making.
Okay, the Dr. Mefor, let's go on so that we don't shift away from the security in the Southeast. We only want to use this to lay a groundwork to see what the approach, whether ESN is necessary or whether there will be some other political strategy to counter whatever danger we believe it poses to the security of the Southeast. I don't know whether you are trying to understand what I'm trying to point out here.
I get you. And can I tell you why I still believe that it is not the climate that is driving them down south, particularly to the southeast? No. I believe there are alternatives. I believe that there are ways they can take care of the climatic conditions. They do irrigation farming, so why can't they use irrigation processes to water the ranches? No state in the north has established a single ranch.
All right.
Only Danjuma.
Dr. Mefor, let us pause here. Thank you very much, so that allow you to take your breath, and then because Marcel is now here, so once we ask those questions of Marcel, then we can now move on to several aspects of this topic, and then of course allow the members of our audience to make contributions starting from the next 5 minutes. So Marcel, you have only 5 minutes, please, to speak on this topic. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you, Dan, and my apology for coming in a little bit late. Some things came up and I need to quickly sort that out. Now, Dan, you know I just completed my program at London Business School with a focus on leadership and strategy. And the first day in the class, what my professor told me is that whenever you're talking about leadership and strategy, there's just one question you need to ask. And the question is, show me the money. Okay. So when you're talking about insecurity, I would ask you, show me the money. So let us step a little bit back, because again, we need to ask ourselves, where is the money in this whole thing and who are those benefiting? Okay. If you look at how federal budgets are being done, every ministries and agencies tend to do an estimate of what they will spend in a year, and they put it forward to the House of Assembly and the Senate, and then they sit on it and they ratify it, and then they approve a particular chunk of money for those ministries. So the military institutions, the security agencies also have their budget. Okay, and then if you look at the budget of these security agencies, if you push back from 1999, from when Boko Haram came in and up till now, you see that their budget has skyrocketed. Okay, it has gone up critically, and the justification has always been that there is insecurity in the country and they need more money. So a lot of money goes into the security agencies. Okay, And the other group of people I might also want to look at are people that are in the Senate and House of Reps that are chairman committee on security or chairman committee on military and all those are also part of. Now, I observed an interview recently from one of the Senate chairman committee on security when he met with the defense minister. And after they finished talking, what came up from him is that the military needs more, the military needs to be funded more, and the military needs more hardware and all those things. And then I had journalists ask him that what happened to the 1 billion, is it 1 billion naira equipment that was approved recently? He said that they are investigating it, and then that if they do not complete it within their terms, that the next people should come and investigate. But for now, they need more money. So you should understand where this thing is. So the question now is, if insecurity stop, will the budget of the security agencies stay high? No. Are there people within the security establishment that are getting rich and getting fat by this insecurity? Yes. Are those people powerful enough? Yes. Are those people, will those people want insecurity to stop? That is something any one of us can decipher. So when you are talking about insecurity, I want to look at it critically, that who are those benefiting? 2 years down, 2 years before now, we don't have this. Boko Haram war has taken more than 10 years. And in the next 10 years, nobody is even sure that that war is going to stop. So a lot of money keeps going in. So until we begin to put searchlight on security agencies and what they do with money that are given to them, and do some kind of transparency in that sector, you will definitely continue to have insecurity. I mean, it's a must. You cannot rule it out, no matter what you do. So when you begin to bring political angle to it, I can understand. Some politicians are also, a lot of contracts, a lot of things are happening within that sector, and everybody is benefiting. So the moment you stop insecurity, that flow of funds will stop. And one of the questions that I had someone asked on AIT recently was the Imo jailbreak. Who ordered the military and the police to stand down? Because that attack took place for like 3 hours. So who ordered them to stand down? Why was there not a quick reinforcement to counter it? And those are the questions Nigerians are not asking. So I am beginning to think that there is a grand plan. Just like the war going on in the north, there's a grand plan to open up another business agency in the south, where some military and police personnel will begin to get money by just going on for extra security engagements, and then a lot of funding and everything will also channel in. So at the end of the day, you see that if care is not taken, large chunk of Nigerian budgetary expenses will have to go into security, and this will keep on happening. So I need people to look closely. There are people stoking this insecurity. It's not IPOB, it's not ESN. All those ones are those ones are just a reactionary forces that are reacting to what is on ground. We are in this country where suddenly bandits, they named it bandits, took over the whole country from everywhere, in every forest, killing, maiming, kind of bringing up insecurity, kind of, making sure that people become unsafe. And then what would that do? It simply means that the government will now be under pressure to push more money to security. So we need to closely look at defense budgets and then bring some transparency into it and begin to hold people accountable. The 1 billion naira, remember that during Jonathan time, billions were approved, and then the Suki issue came up and how that money went into politics, allegedly, because there was no proof. And then look at all the way from when Buhari came on board, it's been money into that sector. So we need to ask more questions. I do not believe, because one thing I also tell you is IPOB are very loud-mouthed. They will be so happy and they will grandstand when they do anything. They want to go to the social media. So I would ask you, let us push more eyes. Let us look at the security guys. Let us look at the chief of defense staff and all those top generals and all those military, and then all those politicians that are into contract, and all the international agencies that are involved in supplying of military equipment and all that. This is a business, and we expect this to go on unless government and the public decide to really look into that sector. So for me, I would ask you, show me the money, show me people that are benefiting from this, and you won't be far from the truth.
All right. Thank you very much for bringing this perspective. Let's take questions now or comments from the audience, and then we expect answers from you and Dr. Mefor to some of the issues that will come up at this point. First, we'll go Mr. Obuebuni. Sorry, Obuebuni, can you please unmute yourself? Mr. Ngogbehei, please. Can you unmute yourself? You are still muted.
Hello.
Go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Can you people, yeah, good evening, sirs. Can you people hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to start from the one of IG of police. If I'll contribute a bit. Calling from Madrid, Spain. My brother, let me first of all thank you, Marcel. You. If 10% of Nigeria think the way you think, that country will be a very big place and a better place for us to stay. Our problem is not far from us. We are our own problem. Thank you, and God bless you. Let me talk about the IG of police. IG of police is not a friendly man. It's Kanuri from Gaidam, because I spent better part of my life there because I went to when Benkari was the governor. So I know the terrain very well, and my contribution is for us that are about the insecurity in the East. Is getting worse, and if we don't do something urgent, very soon the East will be like Yobe. The eastern part of Nigeria will be like Yobe State. It will be no-go area. Even those people who were making mouth and bragging that we are going to do this, they will not go. They will not see a place to launch. This is my little contribution. Thank you all.
All right, we thank you. I saw a hand before. I don't know it's down now. Please always use your device so that it will be permanent video. Utumba, you are raising your hand. All right, go ahead.
Thank you very much, Dan. I've listened to the speakers. Again, I'm only worried about the way they're dealing with the issues. Again, it looks like we are dealing with the effects. We are not dealing with the cause and causes of the problem. Marcel came to talk about issue of funding, the amount of billion that has gone into these outfits, and the little Nigerians or Nigeria have gotten from all these big monies. Isn't it high time to start talking about where does the money go and what do we do to stop the flowing of the money into wrong hands? These few people who are taking advantage, who do not care about the lives of millions of our people. When they have access, when this government took over, the first detention that was announced was that of Dasuki. And then some other elements that has business to do with Dasuki. It was I'm not too sure whether it's 100% proven. As a legal person, I'm yet to see that it's 100% proven. But it was said openly that Dasuki must have squandered among his some of his friends and family billions of dollars and so on and so forth.
Thank you.
Now, for me, all this said, all this beautifully put together in language many of us understand, is just not dealing with the issue. We need to start dealing with the issue.
So what in your mind is the issue?
So my mind is like we cannot jump from the issue of corruption. We need to start, because these are side effects. These are side effects of what is happening with corruption. Is the biggest problem facing the country.
All right, well, thank you. Let's go to, let's take this point so that we don't miss it, because we have had 3 comments now. Let's go back to Dr. Mefor at this point. Are you still with us? Okay, Dr. Mefor, you have had the short presentation from Marcel, the comment from Utumba, and then also Mr. Ngogbehei. Now,
Well,
how will you juxtapose this with your previous theory about colonization?
You see, in research, in social science research, to be specific, you have causative factors and you have factors that mediate. Mediating factors will be meaningless without the primary factors being in place. Mediating factors are like catalysts that you find the chemical reactions. They in themselves don't even change. So when you talk about the quantum of money as the primary factor for insecurity in the Southeast, is a befundling, because I think we need to go a little bit deeper to come to terms with the actual policies. Money is policies that produce money, that yield money into the system, and not corruption. It's not corruption that produces the money. Budget, for example, is not made by corruption. Budget is an annual statutory provision. So you need to go down to the basics. The policies, the makers of the policies and the drivers of the policies, these are two critical factors you need to look at. That is why I said that if you have 13 security positions and 11 of them are occupied by Hausa, Fulani, Northerners, that I have a problem with it. The reason I say that is this: the decisions they will take will not take into deep account the concerns of Southern Nigeria. That's a fact. That's what has happened.
Yes, but if we go with your argument, we want you to situate your argument first. If you go with the argument about the causative factors and the mediating factors,
yes,
wouldn't you also say that the fact that they are from the same area only come within the mediating factors, where the cause is already there and the mediating factors doesn't actually?
No, it's not mediating, it's causative, because they are primary. They are causative because they are the ones that make the policies. They are the ones that drive the policies. That's the point I'm making. Policy makers and policy drivers constitute the policy you are looking at. In fact, if you see the definition of policy as what government does or decides not to do, then you will understand where I am coming from. The simplest definition of policy is what government decides to do or decides not to do. That is policy. Now, if you come to the header-farmer conflict in Nigeria, rather than find places in the north to build Ruga, we are told to release our lands for Ruga or die in the process. That's what we were told. This is a policy. Another president would have approached it differently. Now, I don't know if you are aware that the Lake Chad is being recharged at the moment. Lake Chad. There's a policy to recharge Lake Chad. That means pumping water from another source into Lake Chad. What that means is that water that is abundant in southern Nigeria can be pumped into Rugas anywhere in the north, rather than ask people to vacate their ancestral lands in the southeast for you to build Ruga. You can see policy. You can see policy drivers. So that's the point I'm making.
Okay.
That's the point I'm making. They decided to pursue the wrong policy. It's not corruption that is responsible for that. Corruption is when the money is released and people decide to divert it. We are not saying that they brought money for Ruga, which is the actual solution, because we say that you need to permanently ranch the cattle. That's a policy. When you bring out money, no, 1 minute, Dan. When you bring out money to build a ranch and the politician steals that money, then corruption becomes a problem. You see where I'm coming from?
All right.
The policy is not even in place. They are not pursuing ranching.
Okay, let's Marcel, we'll not come back to you now, because in any event, your presentation.
They are not pursuing ranching as a policy. Now the Southeast governors are playing politics with it. They say they have banned open grazing. Yes, that's a good policy, but that policy is inconclusive if you don't tell us how the cattle will graze. If the cattle come around, where will the cattle graze? Are you saying
we will, Dr. Mefor, the only thing I'm trying to do is for us to focus on the topic at hand. Let us remind our audience that the topic tonight is IPOB ESN, and insecurity in the Southeast. In as much as I agree we have to deal with the cause, but I will want to take more questions because of our time and then allow you and Marcel to deal with them, please, if you don't mind.
No problem at all.
Yeah, all right. So Captain Kasmi for retired, can you unmute yourself and ask your questions or make a comment?
Thank you very much. My question is, how do we, as a people, how do we reconcile this IPOB, ESN, and the Bibago issue, so that the insecurity in the Southeast can kind of improve? Because I see that as one of the major problems we are having now. The governors, unfortunately, were docile. They did not act on time. And because nature abhors a vacuum, ESN came in. And to me, they were doing the job, at least trying to secure the forest. But I don't understand how the Bibago issue now came in, instead of trying to find a way of working the ESN. Now we're in a logjam. How do we now solve the issue? That's my question. Then I want to make a comment before I go. My comment is, let me first of all thank Marcel and Dr. Mefor. I think they have very wonderful contributions. The IG of police is a Fulani man, nothing like Kanuri. The Fulani people, they have this issue of migration. So they can come into a place, you see, that are mainly Kanuri. You mentioned Karuni. Follow their history very well. You find that man is a Fulani man. Another thing I want to say is that we always talk about police reform. We are very much afraid of talking about military reform. We have the highest corruption in Nigeria in the military. It is not even in the police. Where you spend money and you don't see the results, and they still keep asking of money. We are talking about $1 billion. If they tell you the amount of money that Buhari has spent since he came in till now, till date, in security, you will bow. He has even spent more than what Goodluck spent in 6 years, and yet we don't see any results. So our National Assembly should begin to ask questions too. On the military, you can improve the military. I don't know why they are so much afraid. You can prove. Let us find out what is the problem with the military. That you will tell governor that you have 50 men when you have one man in the location. That you will supply weapons to Nigerian army, and Boko Haram will take it the next morning. What are we talking about? There should be questions. Our people should be able to find out, are we handing out our equipment to Boko Haram and bandits? Are we doing what? It's so funny. So thank you for letting me just stop there for now. Thank you very much.
All right. Bibago and ESN. How do you deal with this question? First, Marcel, please.
Okay, Dan, when a government coming to office, the first thing citizens will look out for is what is the strategic course of action of this government? What are they looking for? What do they want to achieve? And this strategic course of action is often set up by the president. The president will say, this is my direction, this is what I want to achieve. Now, some of them might be open in the public and some of them might be secret. But a good observer would, over time, be able to decode what the strategic course of action is. So if I look at Buhari's government and look at all the policies he has been putting out, and those policies are actually policies around cows and all that. And then the question is cow not a private business? It's just like someone saying, I want to build a motor parts workshop in the whole of the federation for a particular ethnic group that are known to be in that business. So most often, I think we should just make it so blunt that the government has no business in cow-based business. It can give loans to help people to go into those business, but not government itself builder, not state government having to be forced to have to bring out resources for a private business. It is the wrongest part of it. And that is what I saw that Buhari's government is chasing. And then I agree with Elombah in terms of policies, because once you set a strategic course of action, every other people that you have brought in to work with you will have to implement policies that will be used to execute that strategic course of action. And if you are running a transparent government, you do not care who sits there, especially when your aims and objectives are very transparent and for the general good. But if you are running a secret government and what you plan to do is not for the good of the people, or what you plan to do is not something that once you put it open, people will adhere with it, then that's where you begin to pick people that are very, very close to you because you want to keep it secret. You just want them to execute what you want to execute. And that is where you have a lot of appointments and bringing people that you say are from one particular ethnic stock. That points to the fact that there is a secret agenda. It is not transparent.
All right, sorry, I'm not trying to.
Sorry, I will come back to the insecurity. I'm just trying to build on ground on how these things come. So I agree with Law Mefor that it is a strategic course of action policy from the central government that is pushing these things, and that is what everybody that they have brought on board into that game that is implementing. Look at all the ministries and agencies from different, but they are all pointing towards that direction. Now, Ngogbehei and IPOB are an offshoot or a reaction to a strategic course of action that is being set by the federal government. And the only person that can solve that problem is when federal government decides to pull back. Now, within Ngogbehei and IPOB, I have always advocated the idea of Ngogbehei. Now, it is the laziness of the Southeast government, or will I say the timidity of the Southeast government that brought about ESN, because if the Southeast government has gone ahead from the beginning to set up Ngogbehei, there won't be any need for ESN. But now ESN has come to stay, and unfortunately or fortunately, people tend to trust ESN more. I mean, you can scan the social space. People are happy and trust ESN more to protect them than Ngogbehei. So Ngogbehei has to, first of all, earn the trust of people that they want to protect to be able to be accepted. So I believe both of them can work together. I mean, they are all brothers and sisters. So the operational command of Ngogbehei can operate in such a way that you delineate and say, look, over time, we are operating within this field, and let us leave this field for these guys. But again, the question now is, does a constituted authority give out its right to an unconstituted? Okay, I wouldn't call IPOB unconstituted, but officially, IPOB is not a governance structure. It's not an elected structure. So the question is that will an elected government decide to give out some portion of its duties to another body? Most governments will tell you no. So the governors of the Southeast need to find a way. It is for them to resolve. They need to find a way to engage and ensure that those two organizations work together. I do not see any problem because I know the likelihood of them working together is very, very high, unless if ego and pride comes in and then they want to mess things up. But let us understand the basis of this, the strategic course of action of the government with their secret agenda, bringing people of their stock to execute an agenda that is not transparent to Nigerians.
Okay.
That is the main problem.
Well, thank you. Dr. Mefor, what do you think about, can Ngogbehei and ESN work together?
Yes, in my opening glee, I mentioned the same thing, that my brother and friend is talking about there, and a strategic objective. Whether we like it or not, that is the superstructure that will drive every other thing else. Ngogbehei and ESN must, it's not even optional, must work together. If they don't work together, there will be no peace in Igbo land. I'm just telling you, the situation can only get worse. The reason is this: they have the same objective. The objective is to secure Southeast. And sooner or later, what you call a management, prime donor syndrome will come in. There will be supremacy battle between the two. That will make them to abandon the primary objective and begin to sort each other out. Before you know what is happening, there will be open confrontation. And the enemy will seize the opportunity to divide them further, begin to side one against the other, and the security situation in the Southeast gets worse as a result. That's the point I'm making. The way out, I think there are structures that must work here. One, Nnamdi Kanu needs to see the need for ESN and Ngogbehei working together is very fundamental. It's a sacrifice he has to make. if indeed he wants security, peace, and development of the Southeast. The new President General of Ohanese, Professor George Obiozor, a seasoned diplomat, should be able to walk the talk. He has to find a way. He must find back channels through which to get the ESN and the Bubago reconciled, even if he means doing that under the table. And that is why I am glad that he recently put together the Peace and Reconciliation Committee. And I believe that these are some of the things the committee should work on. They really have to bring peace to Igbo land. And in bringing peace, you don't take sides. You're not supposed to take side with one against the other. You just have to bring the two sides together. Bubago and ESN is just one in this process. The Southeast governors must come down from their high horse and face their statutory responsibility. When Peter Obi was governor, I keep saying this, he came away with a law, the Anambra State Vigilante Operation Act. That act is what gave the Anambra towns the legal backing to set up their own vigilante services. And Abatete, my town, set up theirs about 7 to 8 years ago, and it has kept the town relatively secure. But a lot of other towns in Anambra State have done the same. Onitsha has just launched something more extensive by Ebeke Atepe, Igbo Onitsha, just did so. The Orizu, we just did the same. Every town in Igbo land must follow suit. Then you begin to work on central coordination, cooperation. In doing that, you must connect Eastern Security Network. Otherwise, these structures will lead to what you call MAD, mutually assured destruction. I'm telling you, they will cancel out each other and leave the Southeast worse off. I have mentioned 4 individuals and structures that will have to work out the way this can work. I mentioned Nnamdi Kanu himself. I talked about the Southeast governors. I talked about Professor George Obiozor, the President General of Ohanese, and the leadership of the various towns in the Southeast must also wake up and work now. They need to secure their towns individually, then before the collective security of the entire Southeast zone will work. If the individual towns are not secure, nothing can happen centrally.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mefor and Marcel. Thank you very much. Let's take question from...
Dan, sorry, before this escapes me, let me just mention it. The Southeast governors, whether Ibubagu or ESN work together, it depends on them, because they have to give some level of confidence. Now, let us know what is happening. ESN have come out to say that the Southeast governors are gathering intelligence about them to give to the security agencies. In the whole of the Southeast, the heads of the security agencies, there's none of them that's able. So there's a mistrust. So first of all, the Southeast governors need to come together and give ESN and IPOB leadership some level of assurance and trust that they can trust them. And that trust can begin with when they come together to proscribe IPOB. It's very, very important, because you cannot be working with an agency that is proscribed. So those state governors have to come together within their internal state organ, leave federal alone, and say within this state, IPOB has been proscribed. They are not whatever the federal government has called them.
I don't know how this Marcel, I don't know how this proposal I don't know how this proposal will work. Because
do you know why I'm saying that then? You cannot call me a criminal and then come to tell me you want to work with me.
Well, it's even debatable. What I wanted to ask is whether it's possible for the governors of Ibubago to work with ESN when their supreme commander has already ordered them that anywhere they see any Ibubago member in uniform, that they should kill him. That is an order by Nnamdi Kanu to his followers. But let's move further. Our time is going. We'll come back to the issue if necessary. Let's please take question for you guys to answer so that we move on. Tango, please, and then Obed next. Let's take from Tango Gochuku first, please.
Bubago with Eastern Security local is a captain. Oil and water never meet. You must separate. The governor started very rough and very bad. Our governors by killing Ikonso. Is it a sign of peace? And now they needed Mazen Nandikalu dead or alive. So nobody's a fool. You don't walk into your enemy's house to kill you. And the present Ebubagu now, most of them are not Igbos even. We have found out most of them are not Igbos. They get the uniform to camouflage. So it's a big security risk. And any Igbo man saying that IPOB is proscribed, that person doesn't know anything, he doesn't know history. It pains me when I hear that because it's sign of disarming a tribe. When you want to conquer a nation, it disarm them. When Turkey take over Armenia, they disarm them. When Germany invaded other countries, Switzerland they refused to disarm. That's why they could not enter Switzerland. I live in Germany, say so. Once we are armed, if not instant security, these people would have walked over to the ocean.
Who will walk over?
The Fulanis now. They're not
so before we have ESN, the Fulanis will walk over. Before we have ESN.
Let me land up.
Sorry?
Look at land up. There's a master plan. They bring agenda by agenda. The Fulani, they look stupid and dirty, but they're more intelligent. They plan everything they do ahead. The same system their forefathers used to conquer the Hausa. This Fulani is C. There is second largest language in Africa after Swahili. Fulani language is second largest language in Africa, followed by Hausa. These people, anytime they need trouble, they go and bring them. Usman afford to bring them to conquer the north. Later, so go back to the men. Most of the generals in army, I serve in army. Most of the generals, Hausa generals, don't have 4 generations in Nigeria, 3 generations in Nigeria. I visited Fulani camp in Kaburu, near Kafanshan, how they take the land. Zongo Kataf, Mokwa, they are crying. What Fulani did to them, how they came in. So most of our army general, if you trace their background, they don't have 4 generations in Nigeria. So this Fulani, saying ESN to work with the Amateku will not be possible because the trust is killed already. Okay, ESN commander, the consul, the defender of his people, you murder the person in Go Broad. If you hear the true story, how they kill consul, it was given out with sweet mouth, with everything, till they get him and kill him. If it's in action, consul will not go down so easy. It was loose and they're getting loose. So after that one now, you still want to ESN to come and work with them. And IPOB is not prescribed anything. They are defending without them. Which defense will we have now? Is it this governors we see looking after money and anything? Where is our defense? Even the Fulani man here and the car here is ESN. He gives us respect. He put fear into their body. So we need a strong defense. If really Nigerian government want peace, let them disband, describe Mighty Allah. Mighty Allah. I also have more than 10 terrorist groups in the north. They're not talking about them. The only one we have is the problem. No, we're not ready.
So what are the 10 terrorist groups in the north?
Mighty Allah, they already put their terrorist group now. They hide their hands open.
All right, let's go to
anybody holding an official arm is a terrorist.
Well, the Meeti Allah doesn't carry arms. The Meeti Allah is a cattle readers association. Just as we have Anambra Farmers Association.
Cattleman with gun. Cattleman with AK-47.
Because we know that, Mr. Tango, my brother, because we know that this program is being streamed live. That's why I always try to.
That's why if we are managing facts.
No, it's not managing facts. I'm always trying to make sure that we speak facts. I'm not managing facts.
I know it's
we
live.
No. What I'm saying is that Meeti Allah is not a terrorist organization.
Are you defending them? Tell them I called the terrorists. You are not the one that called them, and the one that called the terrorists.
Meeti Allah is not a terrorist organization. It is a cattle readers association. It's not a terrorist association. Let us hear from Obed. And then we go to you, Tim. If you don't mind.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I really want to commend Mr. Dan for this opportunity this particular subject is not something we should just discuss as usual in Nigeria. I agree with what the last speaker, also Dr. Mefor and the previous speakers said about the whole thing. It has to do with policy, yes, fine. But where I disagree with the last speaker was where he said that the ESN cannot work with Ebubago. If we attempt to stop that or to prevent ESN from working with Ebubago, we'll have serious calamity in the East. And I know some of the governors have access to Nnamdi Kanu. It's not all the Southeast governors that are against Nnamdi Kanu. Some of them are, like what my governor said the last time. He said some of the issues, that's Okezie. So he made mention of, you people should remember that I'm from Abia State. Okezie is the governor of Abia State, where IPOB mainly, largely, they have millions of their members are from Abia, especially in Aba. Yet they haven't had any confrontation with the governor just because he knows how to manage them. He knows his limits when it comes to dealing with them. One of the things that triggered IPOB recently is what happened in Imo State, the kind of governance system they experience in Imo State, which is where something that has to do with Hope Uzodinma. We've had a previous governor, IPOB has been there. We've had, what's his name? The previous governor, Ihejoha, before Hope. There was no issue. In Enugu State, there was no issue with IPOB until Hope took over and trying to impress those that he believed where that problem is coming from in the East. IPOB believe that most of our governors are not popular, that they get their power from Abuja. And once you get your power from Abuja, you want to impress the Abuja people, leaving your people behind. Back to what, regarding getting IPOB and Ebubago and ESN to work, I believe that there are some governors that can really talk to, get in touch, interact with Nnamdi Kanu. Somebody like Ugwuanyi can interact with Nnamdi Kanu. Okezie Ikpeazu. Recently, Senator T.Oji made a comment publicly that Ebubago and ESN can work together. We need both of them. In the Southwest, we have the OPC. We have the OPC. OPC did a lot of mayhem in the Southwest, yet they were not, the leaders, the elite of the Southwest kept them by the side because they know they are useful. When they formed Amotekun, they still allowed OPC. What OPC did was to contribute some of their members to form Amotekun. And there are Yoruba elders that we can identify Igbo elders that can help us reach out to Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu is a human being. He's an Igbo man like us. He has the interests of our people at heart. So I believe that if we identify those that can really talk to him, those that he has confidence in, they can talk to him and to make sure that we harmonize Ebubago and ESN. We are not saying that because we cannot rely on ESN. We cannot rely on ESN. Most of our youth are not ready to even join the ESN. Those that will join the ESN are also afraid that they might not be paid salary. Because before now, we have other vigilante services that are under the services of the government that are complaining of salary payment. Meanwhile, ESN is a volunteer force. People who decide to do job for the society, for their clan, for their nation for free, is different from those who are employed. And at the end of the month, you won't pay them. And once you stop paying them, they will create loopholes for the enemies to attack or to strike. So please, I want Dr. Mefor. Dr. Mefor is an elite. He's a stakeholder in the East, in Alibo. I want him to try as much as possible to make sure that they get in touch with Nnamdi Kanu and see how they can at least allow Ebubeagụ to operate. Why? Let ESN take care of our bushes while Ebubeagụ operate within the city. Let their people can have an agreement whereby Ebubeagụ will be operating within the city center, the towns, while ESN will be allowed to operate in the bush. No problem. But for me, I don't see the need to ask ESN not to operate in the East. That conflict of interest should be, honestly, like the last speaker said, our governors should also come out and remove that prescription. Handle on IP. It's possible to do it. Arewa people can do it, Southwest can do it. What we are running is a federation. We are not running a military or unitary government. It's a federation. Southeast is a region. They can come together and say, we no longer agree that these people are terrorist organization. We want the federal government to dialogue. Once they come out to say something in that regard, Nnamdi Kanu, we have confidence in them. Thank you very much.
We thank you very much, Mr. Naji, for your contributions. Now, Tim, what do you want to say before we go back to Marcel and Dr. Mefor, please?
Yes. I want to quickly add to what one of our speakers earlier said, that there are reports of Fulani herders who carry AK-47. There are pictures of them available. And when I was in detention in police custody, I met a handful of Fulani men who were also arrested with AK-47s and AK-49s. And they were herders. But theirs is that they use their cattle as a smoke screen to commit crime. So there are actually incidences of Fulani herders. I wouldn't say herdsmen, the usual herdsmen, but cattle herders who carry AK-47s. According to reports, according to some of them, they use it to defend themselves against cattle rustlers. But along the line, they also use it to intimidate farmers who come out to protect their farm when these cattle come to wreak havoc or inflict damage on their crops. They use it to intimidate them. And sometimes there have been reports of them actually using it. No, so it's not just intimidation, but and there, yes, there are reports of Fulani herders who carry AK-47s and AK-49s. I met some of them in prison.
All right, we thank you. Okay, we thank you very much. Marcel and Dr. Mefor, before we go on, it's good that we also clarify facts. I've just checked. Fulani is does not even come into the first 10 largest languages in Africa. It doesn't even come into the first 10 at all. It's not near. So just to clarify that fact, because we are always public before we continue. So Dr. Mefor and Marcel, how would you respond to the comments from Obed? How do we go on from here? We are now looking for a solution. How do we prevent conflict between Ebubeagụ and ESN in the future? Do our governors actually have the power to deprescribe IPOB in Eastern Nigeria, seeing that we run a federation? And what does the exclusive legislative list say about security matters? Dr. Mefor, what do you think?
Let me, first and foremost, the proscription of the IPOB was done by a federal high court and not a state high court. In other words, the organization was proscribed under the federal law and not under state jurisdiction. So legally, our state governors are not in a position to do anything about it. Let's face reality. However, they can come together and make a case that, look, this organization is not a violent terrorist organization as federal government thinks that they can vouch that they are not, and they should therefore be proscribed. That is what they can do. And yes, they can. And I believe they should go ahead and do that. Not only the state governors, the stakeholders, critical stakeholders in the Southeast, under the auspices of Ohanaeze and other notable platforms that have driven the Igbo, pan-Igbo nationalism and pan-Igbo agenda. They must all come together and present this as a case before the federal government. I'm sure that if they are able to do this, the federal government can only give them conditions that they must guarantee that IPOB will not do this, will not do this, will not do that. That is a process that is doable. That is number one. Then, whether Elombah and ESN can work together, I believe they can work together. And they must work together. Otherwise, their relationship may prove calamitous to Ndi Igbo. In fact, worsen our security situation. And I have already named the people who will come together and make this work. Nnamdi Kanu, because of the killing of Ikonso particularly, be feeling very, very aggrieved. And a bit more difficult to approach on the matter now, but he can still be approached. I know he can be approached because I know him personally. I know him one-on-one. He's a friend. He's more than a friend. He's a brother. I know him, and I know how passionate he is about this. And because his preoccupation is a freedom for Alibo. If ESN and Elombah working together will bring about, that is a primary aim and objective and hope for Alibo, I believe you make that sacrifice as only necessary. But if we grandstand, if Ohanaeze would grandstand, the governors would grandstand and say they recognize only Elombah and not ESN, I'm sorry, it will not work. That is why I'm also glad that apart from the fact that Ohanaeze under Professor George Obiozor has actually set up Peace and Reconciliation Committee, they have also said that they are looking forward to a future of Elombah and the ESN working together. That's the truth. And rightly so, ESN is not proscribed by the federal government. So ESN is an association that is not, ESN is not IPOB. Let me put it that way. It's not IPOB, and yet to undergo any legal metamorphosis that will translate it into an illegal organization. For now, it is still a legal outfit, even though it is vetted by IPOB. As a separate entity from IPOB, it is not an illegal organization as of today. Having said this, I still think that we should move quickly and utilize the little window that is left and make sure that we find ways of stopping the activities of the unknown gunmen, whoever they are. I don't know who they are, and I'm not sure I am ready to speculate on who they are without any concrete facts and evidence. That's the truth. It's not in my place to begin to speculate whether it is a ESN or IPOB mutative process or actions. It's not in my place to even venture in that direction. It's not necessary. What is confronting us now is existential threat. This existential threat has to be confronted. We need to clear our forests. We need to know those who are living with us. I have only one point of departure with my co-discussant. My brother, what he has said about cattle rearing being a private business, yes, it is true. But then, cattle rearing can be made government business because government will benefit bountifully from it. Apart from solving the problem of security, government can now go into the process of a dairy industry. So you can see, and it's not going to be a Hausa Fulani venture. An Igbo man that wants to rear cattle can take a portion of the ranch. Why not?
Right.
Many of our youths can go into cattle business. Why not? Don't we have Efibo? Efibo, is it reared by Hausas? Can't we rear Efibo in our ranches in Anibo as an alternative to to the cattle brought for us from Senegal or from wherever.
All right.
So that's why I'm optimistic. I am optimistic that these things are doable. Let us keep an open mind and become less abusive, less confrontational. Let us show a bit of love. We can recover our land. Igbo land has always been a sweet place. We can get back to that groove again.
Thank you very much for that sausage presentation. I don't know whether we'll not take that as a concluding topic, but still no.
I think it's my concluding remark.
Well, there are still some issues for you to clarify before you run, please. All right.
No problem. I'm not running. I'm not running. I'm not running.
Okay.
I'm staying here. So if you need me, you let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Before we take the last two questions, let's hear from Marcel. Or are you okay with what have been said about Ngogbehei and ESN?
Okay, Dan, the main issue is issue of trust, because I cannot work with you unless I trust you. And when you look at the statement made by the Southeast governor, one of the things he says that Ngogbehei will be gathering intelligence.
Yeah, so sorry, let me ask you a question on this so that you deal with both of them together. Okay. I think one of the last questions or suggestions was if on the issue of trust between IPOB and the governors. In one of the emergency broadcasts by Marcel, he said that Ngogbehei exists to gather intelligence and submit those intelligence to the police and the army. So if that is the situation, there is that issue of trust. Now, is there a possibility for the Southeast governors to go as one, as suggested by one of our interviewees yesterday, and go as one to the federal government and say, we want all the police commissioners and AIGs in the southeastern region to come from the Igbo? Now, can you address both of them at the same time and then go ahead, please?
The appointment of police commissioners is a federal prerogative, is the president's prerogative. But for a president that wants peace, can engage stakeholders and ensure that every individual stakeholder's interest is adequately taken care of. I don't see that happening with this present government. They have not shown that. So the case of the Southeast governors insisting that all the commissioners of police or head of security agencies being Igbo, Buhari that I know will not accede to that. And that's why I keep saying that there seems to be a kind of a secret agenda that's not transparent to all. They can make that case, but I don't see that coming true. Like I said, the main issue with Ngogbehei and ESN is an issue of trust. So if at the early stage of formation of Ngogbehei, information was given out and then a commander of ESN was killed, and then the only excuse we could hear from government is that he was a mastermind of the Imo jailbreak. What I would have expected from a responsible government is by the time you conclude your investigations, you would make a pronouncement and then invite anybody you think was a mastermind. You go to court and invite them. If they do not come, then the court can now declare that they should be brought in and they should be arrested. I didn't see that part.
One thing I'll point out in this area before we continue, please, is if the police suspects that an individual has committed a crime or is in the process of committing a crime, the police will not first go to court to lodge a complaint and then the court will invite you. No, the police will go straight and come and arrest you, interrogate you, and charge you to court. Now, if do we sincerely expect, if what we learned from the arrest of Ikonso was that in the process of arresting Ikonso, some policemen and even some army officers were killed. There was a shootout. And I think 2 army officers were killed and police were... No,
was he invited?
The police will not invite you if you are suspected of committing a crime.
My expectation was that there has to be a kind of a way, because again, the question is that I do not trust the police investigation. I have to be very 100% with you. I do not trust the investigation. That facility was attacked for over 3 hours. There was no response. So it means that an instruction must have been given for a stand. So there is more to it. And if the police have to be very transparent, they cannot just wake up and eliminate somebody and say the person was the cause. it casts a lot of shadow in them. And now begin to wonder what's different between them and other terrorists or militia group. I had expected a professional way of handling this. After your investigation, you make a press conference, say this is the result of our investigation. By this, we are now inviting social person to come to social place. It's an after effect. They are not preventing crime. The crime has been committed already. They are making investigation. You can only do what you are talking about when you want to prevent an attack.
Okay,
So
let's invite. Okay, let's take last question so that because we will round up very soon.
So for the issue of ESN and Ngogbehei, trust is a key issue, and the Southeast governors has to work towards building that trust. You cannot ask me to work with you when you are busy inviting military and helicopter gunships to kill my people. I will not. Okay. I will not even trust you. So that trust issue, there has to be some kind of agreement that says, okay, ceasefire. We are given a period of 3 months or a period of 6 months for negotiations. Within this period, there won't be any invitation of any third party or any use of force. Let us see how we can come together to a round table and discuss this. Then if after that period of 3 months or 6 months, if nothing was agreed, because again, whatever is agreed, well done. Let me be honest to you. One of the biggest problems of Nigeria is that the laws are useless. Once you empower, it can do whatever. So I don't even know
please let's take questions and then we our time is almost. Otumba, please. Otumba, please.
Yeah, thank you, Dan. I quickly want to. I don't know whether the professor is still around, Professor Melo. Or
Dr. Mefor, he's still around. Can you make a point, please?
He talked extensively about formulation of policies, which I respect. I agree with him. But the only quarrel I have with his expression is like the formulating of policies is not only in Nigeria, it's all over the world. Why, if he argues that it is the policies that are bringing problem of corruption, then is he not saying that is a defeatist arrangement, that we are not capable enough to formulate policies that will be corruption free? Because if you put policies together and there's no rule, there's no anywhere corruption could come out of it, then we will not have this side effect of corruption. I agree with that. But the only thing, the point I'm trying to make is, it is then sad to note that most of our policymakers are creating problem for the country in terms of when they make provisions for corruption. So I don't know whether you guys get what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Because in other client, corruption, policies are made in America, in Germany, and so on. And then it goes to the next stage. People who will be implementing it will not have any form of room to maneuver to start creating corruption, which is so permissive, which is so much in the country, in the system. And that's the point I was trying to make, that corruption is so deep that it affects all the fabric of our lives in Nigeria. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Pamsen Dagiat, please. Can you unmute yourself? Chief CBN Onwasanya, please.
Well, the question of IPOB or ECN and Eastern governors agreeing together is like water and oil cannot work together. One, the IPOB do not believe in Nigeria. Whether they have trust in the political of Nigeria or not, their agitation is completely different, because they believe to be a Biafra, not for Nigeria. They have no trust in the government of legalized, whether they are doing it well or they are not doing it well, which most of us believe that they are not doing it well. That is even why I'm being aspirant for 2023 presidency, although I'm not desperate to be the president of Nigeria in 2023. I'm desperate to do something different since Nigerian independence 1960. The ECN is not organized, and their leader, they believe, is a one-man show. They don't listen to any other person than Nnamdi Kanu, fugitive Nnamdi Kanu. It is not possible for them to discussing with somebody who is not on the ground. He stayed in Western world where we are here. We don't know whether he's in his toilet or in the bedroom, using microphone and telling ignorant people, vulnerable people to go and fight, challenging people with weapon. I remember what my father told me. He said, the first Nigerian president, Chief Dr. Azikiwe, he said, he's the only stupid person will go and fight to somebody who has a gun, whether that gun has a weapon or not. I'm sorry that I interfered in argument between you, Elombah, and the other man of arrest or not arresting. I believe most of our people, we judge with emotion. Don't quote me wrong if I say most of us have not atom of legal terms or what is criminal offense. Whether Nigerian government is doing well or not, there's still a law. Even in Banana Republic, there's no government, there's no uniform person, even in Igbo tradition. Before the Western world come, or even before the war, we still have a tradition like masquerade. It's like the police. That masquerade have the right to go and say, don't go to this land and do something.
All right.
So that is, I'm coming. Please allow me.
You conclude, please.
Yeah. The brief is that ECN are one-man show business, and they are not organized. They have no identity. Even the person who's sponsoring them did not even give them any weapon, but he just trained them with ex-criminals, ex-convicts to go and hijack few police people armed or army to go and killing people. And for him, staying in this Western world, inciting violence is a criminal offense. If somebody pick it up in this country, he will go to prison. Let people know what is called the law. And he is a British citizen,
right,
having Nigerian passport and deceiving vulnerable people. We should stop judging with emotion and think the legality and what is the right to do and protect ignorant people being killed innocently. It is wrong.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you very much, Chief CBN Omasanya, for this succinct intervention. Now back to Pamson Degiat, please. Pamson.
Yes, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can hear you. Go on.
I appreciate the break you asked me to go and put up. I'm sorry for the way I appeared initially.
That's okay.
But it pays off better for me because the last speaker seems to have addressed some of the things I wanted to talk about, except in a different angle. To my mind, there is a third force that is now called the unknown gunmen, who have now put a virus of a sharp divide between the ESN or whatever you call it, is it ESN or ENS, and the Ngogbehei, whatever is your, sorry, I'm from Plateau, I cannot pronounce those names correctly. But these two forces, there is a virus now that has been planted, and that virus is the unknown gunmen. It has discredited the face to which ESN will want to present itself. But the question here is this: which one is legal? Are we going to walk outside the law? Is IPOB and the governors, are they operating on the same pedestrian with respect to powers and law of the land? It's like we are equating the two to be on a parallel ground. My understanding from even this discussion, someone earlier said that Nnamdi Kanu, when he presented the ESN, he said there will be an information gathering mechanism. So why don't we go back to that? Ask the ESN to go back to their original foundation of what they are supposed to be, and allow the Ngogbehei, who is an organization that is now by the law. Because if you recall, when the Yorubas started their own, they wanted to go the way of ESN until they were reprimanded and then they went back to the law. Now, if Ngogbehei passed through the law, that is the one that is legal. And that is the one we should be looking on and giving support. So I think we should be very clear. I am pained because we are looking onto the East as a pedestal for us to survive here in the Middle Belt. But what is happening in the East, I'm afraid, if we allow that to go on, it will not only affect the East, it will affect us here in the North Central. And of course, those people we are trying to see as the problem or as the enemy, they will have their way. Because what is happening now at the end of the day is that dog will eat dog. The Igbos will now start fighting amongst themselves for unclear and unreasonable issues, because now it's going to be an issue of supremacy. I am sure I may have dropped my thoughts. Sorry if...
No. This is a very pertinent issue we have raised, because actually we need to ask, the Igbos need to ask themselves this fundamental question. Is ESN operating within the ambit of the law? One. Secondly, what is the identity of these unknown gunmen? Their existence is not in doubt. Who is behind it? And is the activities within the ambit of the law? Who is going around Anambra State, Imo State, Enugu State, Abia State, burning down police stations and killing police officers? Is it reasonable to expect elected governors who have sworn to defend the laws of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to cooperate with people whose aims is to destroy the fundamentals of the structure that they govern and has sworn to protect? Is it reasonable to expect the governors to work with people whose fundamental aim is to bring down the Federation, burn police stations, kill police officers? How do we expect them to work with people whose identities are unknown, whose modus operandi are not clear, is opaque, whose source of funding is probably unknown? These are some of the questions the people of the Southeast will ask themselves, and reasonably what they expect their governors to do.
Very correct.
Mr. Ogbuebuni, finally, before we now go to our guest again, Mr. Ogbuebuni.
Very good evening to all of you, all the guys. I'm bringing you greeting from Benin Peninsula. What is happening in East? If we don't take time, the place will, what is happening in Yobe State will be a child play to what will happen in the East. And for us to control this, is the only person who will stop this mess in the East is only Nnamdi Kanu. If he's going to swallow his pride and call his men to order. Because somebody said governors will go and meet him. There is no elected governor who was elected to defend the constitution of Nigeria will go and partner with a group that the federal government called a terrorist group. And it has come to stay. Federal government has called them a terrorist group. For you, as a governor who swore to defend the constitution, to go and partner with them, you are committing treason, which is a very big offense in Nigeria. So the area be better he starts with what he called, because it's easy to say that they will start gathering intelligence, but before you know, they divert to other things. Before you know, they will start arresting people. Just like the early 2000 or late 1990s, when Bakassi came out, they were killing armed robbers. Before you know, they turn Bakassi into if you have any land dispute with somebody, Bakassi will come and settle the problem. The other person will be killed. This is how we will end up. I pray, and my fear is that my place, my lovely land, the Southeast, will not go to this level. So, and our people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Mefor, what will be your concluding comments on the topic we're having tonight? And then also Marcel, please.
Well, I thank all the contributors, especially my brother co-discussant Marcel, for his insights. I have taken a number of things away. Please, I am begging all of us to pay attention to the gathering storm. We should borrow a leaf from Southern Sudan. We should borrow a leaf from a number of African countries and non-African countries that have gone through this path before, and they allowed multiple militia groups to control swaths of their land. Let me tell you, let me warn again, we may not believe it, but sooner or later it will be clear to everyone. If Elombah and ESN do not work together, let me tell you what will happen. They will control territories. They will control territories. They are going to carve Igbo land the way you carve Christmas turkey into parts. That's precisely what happened to South Sudan. That's what happened to a place like Somalia. That in fact, what is going to happen will be clear Somalization of Igbo land. Those who do not see this, remember today that, let me tell you, ESN will not be able to effectively take over entire Igbo land. And Elombah will not be able to take over the entire Igbo land. That was exactly what happened in South Sudan and in Somalia and in certain other places, even in Afghanistan. It could have happened to Rwanda if their leaders didn't rise to halt the slide, the descent into infamy and into total destruction and annihilation. They were able to reverse the problems. We shouldn't allow this to degenerate to the point where you will now say, as you're entering Igbo land, they will tell you that Nsukka is controlled by ESN, that Onitsha is controlled by Elombah, that Nnewi is Elombah, Umuahia is ESN. Look, that is where we are headed. We must stop it and stop it now. The two groups must work together. The issue of whether elected governors can work with unelected bodies, I made that point before. ESN is not prescribed. ESN is not IPOB.
Well, thank you.
That is very fundamental. And they don't need to advertise what they are doing. The cooperation they seek with IPOB, with Nnamdi Kanu and the rest, does not have to be published on pages of newspaper. You do a lot of these things behind the scene. Vigilante operations in Anambra State are legal.
Yeah, vigilante is set up by the state.
Anything done outside the law is illegal and criminal, as long as the action has a punishment prescribed against it. That is a simple definition of crime. If an individual decides to arm some people, if an individual decides to do that, he's doing that outside the law. What he has done is criminal. That's the truth. And if they commit an action further, like harassing, beating, or even killing, you deal with them as criminals and as prescribed by the law. That has always been my position. I have never said that the cooperation I am prescribing for ESN and Elombah should be done outside the law. No.
Thank you. It's just to make that point clear.
It must be done within the law.
Thank you.
If it's not done within the law, I am not part of it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for making that clarification.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Marcel, please.
Okay, Dad. Again, I always tell people, let us keep emotions aside and let us be leaders. And as a leader, there are three main institutions you look out for. You look out for government, you look out for the military, and you look out for the people, because that is where power lies. Those three main institutions. Now, in determining who you are to engage, you do what I call a stakeholder analysis: impact against influence. Okay, this particular stakeholder, what impact does it have in my operations, and what influence does it have in my operations. Now, those are the people you highlight to deal with. So if I will ask you today, does ESN has an impact in Southeast operations? Does it have an influence? We know that is. So when you're talking about stakeholder, anybody that says they are not a stakeholder is just trying to stock another set of problems entirely. If I am the governor of any state, I am governing people, which I call my people, whether good, bad, or whatever, and I will find out where the power lies in terms of impact and influence and choose who to engage. And I'm advising leadership in this case that it is better as a leader. It is not by the power or by the military rights or whatever. It is better to engage and engage in a very subtle way, in such a way that you can solve problems before they become an issue. Take it anywhere in the world. After war, people still come together to negotiate. And even American government and other top level governments do engage stakeholders.
Thank you
The
very much.
current Nigerian government is engaging bandits, is engaging terrorists. The governors from other zones, especially from the Northeast, are sending emissaries into the bush to engage bandits that have done worse things. So anybody that's saying that stakeholders cannot be engaged within the Southeast region to make peace because they feel that they are not recognized officially is actually fanning the ember of troubles. So let
We
us
thank
engage
you.
and let us make peace within our zone.
We thank you very much. We started this program by 8 and we must finish by 10. So, Ezeluche, please, just 1 minute to say what you have to say. Mr.
Okay,
Luche,
good day.
please.
My worry is that, yes, are you hearing me? My worry is that we are discussing about two legal entities. Both Ebibuago and ESN are not legal entities. The governor just mentioned Ebibuago by word, but there is no law backing Ebibuago, and there's also no law backing the ESN. And then ESN is basically to show the power of social media, because somebody announces on radio that he has an ESN, shows us some pictures, then people are now talking of ESN as if it exists. In reality, it might exist in one or two places, but I don't think it has that outreach which is purported to have. So I think we have to be a bit more realistic and then ask our governors, despite the fact that they lack legitimacy basically, but to try to, they're already in power, they should reach out, have stakeholders meetings, broader stakeholders meetings with the town union, which exist in the Southeast, and see how they can arrive at peace. Let's forget this embargo stuff and the ESN, and let the governors organize a real security stakeholder summit with the town unions. The Southeast is very unique. And in anything you're doing in the Southeast, when you overlook what makes us unique, you're not going to achieve much success. And that is the problem. They have always overlooked the uniqueness of the Southeast. And what is unique about the Southeast? It is the town unions. It's only in the Southeast, in the Igbo areas, that you have these town unions, which is the real network that empowers the people, that reaches out to the people. So as long as you're doing it and you're overlooking them, best of luck, but you come back to square one. So both the Ubago and the ESN, they are still in the paper, in the works. They are not legit. They don't have any documentation backing them up. We don't know who they are. We don't know the framework or structures on which they are operating. So the governors, do we have a security problem? Yes. The governors should therefore undertake a real stakeholders meeting. And in all the southeastern states, Ebonyi, Abia, Enugu, Imo, Anambra, they have these town unions. Reach out to the town union executives, and you know how these town unions operate. They know themselves. They know who is who. They know the land. They know where these Fulani headsmen are. They know where the problem is. And you are going ahead because in other states of the parts of the country, they don't have those town unions. They only have traditional rulers. Then you now begin to use traditional rulers, which are alien to Igbo culture. So we should look for indigenous solutions to our problems. And as long as we overlook those indigenous solutions, we will keep on running in circles. Thank you very much.
We thank you
I
very
know I
much.
have 1 minute. So I have to
you took more than 1 minute, but that's fine. We thank you for your succinct segments on this issue we have tonight. Thank you very much, Dr. Mefor. Thank you very much, Marcel, and thank you all our contributors tonight for making this evening's program a success. And on this note, we wish you a good evening. You might want to stay for another 30 minutes if you want to have conversations